Mr. McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'm very glad you clarified how we're going to be decommissioning F-22s. I was a little concerned when we started talking about that because I was very proud to have them make their first kill this year, and just want to make sure that we sustain that brilliant program. With that said, Lieutenant General Smith, I'm tracking that Moody Air Force Base is planning to divest into the A-10s, which makes me kind of sad as a former Ford Air Controller. The F-35s are going to replace. Are they going to have a similar mission or something entirely different as far as what they're going to be applied for?
Let me start, and I'll let General Moore speak to it as well. But the F-35 is very much a multi-mission aircraft, so they will be fully capable of performing the close air support mission as our other Air Force assets. I noted General Brown spoke to this with direct experience from his time in 3 different Air Force platforms, none of which was the A-10 or the F-35 doing close air support. But that'll definitely be a part of the F-35's mission. But it's also core to our several missions that we see in Indo-PACOM, which may or may not involve close air support, like defensive counter-air, offensive counter-air. There's a whole range of missions the F-35 will be equipped to perform for the Air Force.
So basically, we're just picking up a greater flexibility and a greater mission account.
Correct.
Okay, great. I'll save the remainder of my time for Lieutenant General Cederholm, who took the liberty of explaining something to me about their F-35 program. There's a lot of Marines, Marines that have retired, who had big concerns about how we reorganize our F-35s, and I just wanted to have you break down the squadron organization, how we've gone from 16 to 10, and how that affects our mission going forward, and how that's going to give us greater flexibility into the future. And by the way, just for the record, I brought my writing material just to take good notes from our Marines out there.
Sir, thank you very much, and totally dig the crayons. I hope I don't start eating them here in a second. Sir, on paper, I understand the concern that some former Marines may have, but taken alone, I understand the genesis of that. But when you put it in the context, as we discussed earlier, sir, I posit that the resultant factor changes when you put it into transition, when you put the transition into motion. What do I mean by that? Since 2007, our program of record has been 420, and it's always centered around 18 squadrons for the last decade. 18 squadrons are going to comprise our F-35 transition for the last decade. That gives us the capability, the capacity, and the sustainability, long-term sustainability, to fly off of L-class ship amphibs, to fly off of carriers, to fly off of land base, and to fly off of austere expeditionary air bases. The Commandant's decision to move to 18 squadrons, still the central part of our construct, but 10 aircraft in those squadrons, is the swiftest, most lethal, and long-term sustainable construct of the 3 constructs we've had over the last 15 years as we've ramped up this transition of the program. Just to give you one short example, sir, cognizant of your time, this transition to 10 squadrons, we have found we have the ability now to deploy 10 F-35Bs, a full squadron on board the Muse, which, as you know, are globally deployed and engaged, forward deployed. That is a 66% increase in TAC air firepower, 5th-gen TAC air firepower, out on the point that was not available under any of the other constructs. So I'm excited. The Marine Corps remains committed to 420, and I'm excited at what this airplane will bring for the MAGTF, the Joint Force Maritime Component Commander, and the Joint Force, sir.
Fantastic explanation. I appreciate that. And just with that, I'll yield with making sure we represent the rotary wings.
Love the 53, sir.
Hoorah.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. We'll now go to Mr. Fallon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Doctor, I thank you for bringing the crayons. I might use them later. But, when we talk about fixed-wing aircrafts, it seems like